Hey, it looks like it's working. I think we're recording and going live. Cool. All right.
Hello,
So,
welcome
YouTube.
welcome to Burnout Studios. Today, I think I've read book one of the Lit
Kill
Town
you again with another reading.
of Town Called Liberty. I think we're going to do that again because we added to it last time we were here. That's one of the things that we were talking about, and then we'll be able to show pictures for some of it. But yeah, I think it's pretty much done. We'll see how it sounds and looks. And then hopefully we'll be able to do a complete reading of it with pictures and everything, and post it up by itself, and people can come and read our stories and look at our stories. Well, listen and look. Okay, so starting again. Title of this is Curiosity Kills. The sign was big and bold. It was visible for miles before entering Liberty. Held in the air on one large pyramid-shaped cement pylon, the billboard-like sign had only one word: Liberty. The monorail rocketed past the sign, leaving the woodlands, and headed over a small hill and down into the city built along the coastline. The train, television, and speakers softly played, "My fellow Americans, I stand before you today truly proud of what we have accomplished. Today is a historic day, but not only for Liberty City. Today is a day for celebration, a celebration for the world. Many years ago, a promise was made. The promise was to care for our Mother Earth. It began as a movement. Like all great movements, it started out small. People began recycling campaigns. People started to carpool. People started using less plastic and styrofoam." Samantha pressed her face against the glass, staring out at the city as it zoomed closer. Samantha beamed at her parents seated on the train next to her. Her parents, Benjamin and Hillary, looked on her with pride. They admired the new blue sundress they had bought her. Her fluffy afro was separated into two pigtails, making two fluffy pom-poms on her head. By the way, there's pictures that go along with this, but anyway. Shoppers glanced for a moment as the train passed by and came to a stop in the station located near in the heart of the shopping district. People crowded the shopping mall, moving from one shop to another, busy enjoying the families and friends accompanying them. The radio system at the mall continued playing the broadcast. Many states began to change the law based on the thoughtful, selfless actions of the citizens. Then, over time, a fundamental change in the way people think began to happen. People everywhere stopped caring only about themselves and began to recognize we must care for all life on this planet. We must stop the pollution. We must stop the torture of the animals we share this world with. And we must at all costs begin treating the environment as the fragile beauty that it is. Officer Brett Zern stepped out of his electric vehicle. He scribbled out a parking ticket for a vehicle parked in front of a fire hydrant. He angrily ripped it off from his book and placed it on the windshield. His car radio continued. The movement began to grow. People demanded cars that would not pollute. They demanded plastics that would biodegrade. Passengers depart the monorail and either ride the escalator or take the stairs down into the mall. The video billboard system that flashed through advertisements for the numerous shops waiting in the mall below. They demanded building a monorail system that connected the United States building a monorail system that connected the United States like it had never been connected before. Faster, quieter, safer national travel. But not just for the passengers and the air they breathed, but it was also safer for the animals that lived underneath the raised tracks the train glided upon. Maria looked out from her balcony and sipped her morning coffee. The world below her apartment was already moving at a fast pace. The monorail was dropping off people, and all the shops were open for business. "I'm headed out for a jog," Maria's husband, Juan, exclaimed. He kissed Maria on the cheek and bolted out the door. Maria continued to get ready for the day as her television played. People began to realize they didn't need to live spread about. They recognized the impact the endless housing developments were having on the environment. People began moving into cities to allow the animals to reclaim their precious habitat. But the most important hazard to the environment was our electrical producing industry. As I said in the beginning, we, the American government, made the people of this great country a promise. We promised to phase out the harmful energy producers such as coal and oil power plants and replace them with cleaner, eco-friendly power producers. Wind, solar, and hydroelectric offer the world a break from the toxins produced by the traditional power plants. Charlie sprinted from his car. He was late for his class and ran through the quad in the center of the campus. He understood that college wasn't the same as high school, but he hated being late. The PA system continued the public broadcast throughout the hallways. The transition has not been easy, and the people of the city have been willing to be without power at times. But these sacrifices the people make for the greater good, and when asked, the average person will respond with pride, "We must sacrifice for the greater good."
Huh? Okay.
What?
Oh, it's just... Didn't he just say the greater good?
Yep.
So why did they say the greater good?
Anyway,
Right.
John stared dreamily at Beth. She sat one row in front of him and 3 seats to the left of him in his science class. John was now a junior in college, and luckily he knew with fair certainty what he wanted to do once he graduated from college. Most importantly, he knew who he wanted by his side when he started on his life path. He started to drift off thinking about how he should ask Beth to marry him. His dream was interrupted when a hand pushed on his shoulder. He glanced to his right where his friend Carl announced in a whisper, "Dude, they are about to mention you." John looked up to the front of the class, refocusing on the television. Many people share this selfless view. Our colleges have worked tireless with our community leaders. They share in this award. John wasn't shocked that the president didn't mention him or the school. He wasn't the only student who was part of the essay writing team. Thousands of students submitted essays in order to raise money for the new green energy campaign. The donation from some of the largest corporations in the world poured in. John didn't think his essay was anything special, but he was excited that he was being rewarded. The president shifted his focus from the cameras to the reporters in front of him. The president shifted his focus from the cameras and reporters in front of him to the suit-wearing people seated next to the stage. "Please, Mayor, will you join me on the stage so I may award you this token of appreciation?" The mayor jolted from his chair excitedly and moved over to the president. A smile and joy on his face showed his proud moment. Professor Williams exhaled a genuine sound of amazement. He pushed the button on the remote control in his hand, and the television clicked to black. He turned to face the students who were beaming with excitement as well. "Oh my goodness, wasn't that exciting?" the professor exclaimed to the class. "I wish the president would have mentioned the school by name, but this is still exciting." The professor placed the remote on his desk and retrieved a picture frame lying in the middle of it. "Well, class, I think we all know what time it is," the professor announced as he held up the picture frame. A certificate was centered in the frame. "John McDonald, will you please join us down here?" The class erupted in hoots and cheers. John was having trouble getting out of his seat as his friends and classmates surrounded him, all jockeying for a chance to slap him on the back or give him a high five. John accepted the award at the end of the school day. John accepted the award, and at the end of the school day, he and Beth walked through the city on the way to her home. It was his daily routine to walk her home and buy her a meal on the way. As they were leaving the burger and ice cream shop, Beth exclaimed, "I still can't believe it. This is the start of everything for you. I mean, I still don't know what I'm going to do after college, but you already have an internship with a government agency. This is huge." Her words rang true. This was the beginning for him. He was going to have a chance to obtain a job in a science field. School really wasn't much of a challenge for John. He placed the highest in most of his classes. Science appealed to him mostly because it was the most challenging. Plus, scientists were listened to and respected. He deserved the respect. John drank from a paper cup he had left over from his meal. "Well, I would be lying if I said I wasn't in shock. But I'm also a lot scared. You're right, this is huge. I hope I impress them." He chewed on the straw from his drink. Beth approached John, taking the cup from his hand. She dropped it in a public trash can they were standing next to. She pulled the straw from John's mouth and kissed him softly on the lips. As she stepped away, John's eyes stayed closed, and she said, "John, you impress me every day, and I am positive you will do the same for them." John nervously sat in front of a desk. He stared at the empty chair behind the desk. He rehearsed his introduction in his head. He wondered what his new boss would be like. Would he be a fellow scientist? How long would it take before he got a permanent position? John leaned back in his chair, rehearsing a nonchalant conversation, pretending to laugh at a joke he imagined his new boss saying. "Hello, John," a voice said, making John jump a little. John turned as an elderly, balding man entered the room and took a seat behind the desk. John rose to his feet and extended a handshake. "Hi, I'm John." "Wait, you already said that." "Hello, it's good to meet you." "Thank you for the opportunity," John stammered out. "Hello again, John. My name is Ernie Schwartz. You can call me Ernie." Ernie responded, shaking John's hand. "I guess you are excited to get started?" The main building was huge. It housed hundreds of offices.
There's a lot of huge things in the book.
Mm-hmm. The energy department was separated into many departments, but John's tour ended in the basement, though. Ernie introduced him to the people of the department and showed him to his new workstation. John sat behind a large bank of computer screens. They showed every power plant source in Liberty: wind farms, solar farms, and the hydroelectric dam. John's new job was to monitor the screens. John was thankful when Ernie stopped by 4 hours later to check on him. The job was mind-numbingly dull. His mind wandered through dreams of his new life and the new home he would hopefully be able to provide Beth. He wanted to show how good he was, but how? He literally stared at screens all day. He monitored if there were any problems, and so far, nothing seemed to ever go wrong. Ernie asked, "How are things running?" John just shrugged. "Nothing has really changed." Ernie smiled and responded, "Here, let me show you a few things." Ernie slid in close to John and moved the keyboard a little so he could type. This system keeps historical data and has recorded the energy output since it went online. So, if you wanted to, you could see how we compare historically to old production methods. Or you could see how over time, as the farm grew, so has the energy output. It will also show which farms produce more, and you can compare wind to solar, You can do a lot. Well, anyway, this is where you will be spending most of your time, so you might as well get to know the system, Ernie explained as he keyed different reports in the computer. And if I find any drops, John asked. Well, you would report them to me, Ernie answered. What would cause a drop in power? John inquired. Many different causes. Well, in the case of solar, there is a drop at night and during stormy weather. Wind farms, of course, need wind. When the weather calms, we see a drop in power, and the drop is significant. Energy is best produced when the generators meet a constant speed. And with some of the more traditional methods, it was easy, but nature can't seem to spin the blades at a constant rate. But the beauty of the grid is wind and solar cover each other. In storms, the wind farms produce better, and in turn, when the weather is calm, solar does best. But I am sure you will see this for yourself. Then, the ace in the hole is our hydroelectric plant. It does the best at turning generators.
You know, it'd be interesting.
What?
Is if he said, and the ace in the hole is, and John said, the hydro. That's right. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. Show how smart he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be interesting.
Okay. And then where was I?
See, that's how we do this, you know.
Right. Yep.
We're just.
Then it clicked some keys and the screen returned to the current power outputs. Anyway, I think you've had enough for the first day. I will see you bright and early tomorrow, Ernie said quickly and motioned John toward the door. Sounds good. See you tomorrow, John replied. The next morning, John happily typed away at the keyboard while closely reading the historical charts. He went back as far as he could to compare wind and solar to coal power. Coal did produce more power according to the charts, but the impact on the environment was too great. Next, John looked at the charts comparing wind and solar for the last 5 years. The chart compared 10 wind farms to 10 solar farms. The chart showed fluctuations for all the power farms except for one did not seem to fluctuate. John looked at the computer confused. He typed some more into the computer, bringing up a new report showing just a chart of that one wind farm over a 5-year period. That's so strange, John exclaimed softly. What's strange? Ernie asked from over his shoulder. John jumped a little in his chair and turned to face Ernie, who was drinking coffee from a brown porcelain mug. Oh, hello, sir. You scared me a little, John replied. What are you looking at? Ernie asked again. I was looking at the power farms over a 5-year period, and I noticed something strange. One of the wind farms doesn't fluctuate in power the same as the other plants do, John replied. Ernie put the cup up to his lips, and right before he took a drink, he responded, That is weird. John smiled and continued, What would cause no fluctuation? That's the million-dollar question, Ernie remarked. John looked at him inquisitively and asked, What do you mean? Ernie rolled his eyes like he had told this story 1,000 times. You aren't the first one to discover this. We can't figure out why it does that. I would put it out of your mind. It is most likely a glitch in the computer. Maybe I can figure it out, John remarked. Ernie looked sternly at John and stated firmly, That is not your job. Let me be clear. Take that out of your mind and just focus on the job in front of you. John opened his mouth to object. John, please, don't make me repeat myself. Just do your job. I will see you later, Ernie exclaimed. He then turned and walked away. John chewed his food deep in contemplation. The million-dollar question, that phrase kept repeating in his mind. This challenge was finally something he could use to show everyone how good he was. Ernie seemed serious about not investigating any further, though. But he also did say, the million-dollar question. That sounded like a challenge. He stared down at his fork and as he pushed around his broccoli on his plate. John, it's probably some kind of test, Beth explained from across the table. John was always amazed with Beth. It was like she was in his head. Test? John stated as a question. Yeah, maybe they want you to figure it out, Beth explained. John contemplated it for a moment and replied, I don't think so. He sounded pretty serious about not looking into it, John retorted. Well, I guess you should just give up then, Beth stated. John smiled, knowing full well she was using reverse psychology. Yep, I promise I won't look into it, he replied happily. John was surprised how far the drive was out to the wind farm. He exited the freeway and headed for the windmills in the distance. Not surprisingly, there was a tall chain-link fence surrounding the entire farm. There was a gate and a small guard shack at the gate. An armed guard exited the shack and approached the car as John came to a stop. Can I help you, sir? The soldier asked John as his through his driver's side window. John produced his ID badge from his wallet and handed it to the soldier. The soldier looked at the ID and handed it back to John, saying, That's nice, John, but what the hell are you out here for?
This new power plant ID.
The question had the desired effect. John was angered and taken off guard. The voice in his head became crowded with thoughts. Doesn't this guy know who I am? Of course he doesn't. He saw my badge. I work for this company. Why can't I see the wind farm? I wonder if I outrank him. Obviously I don't. I'm just an intern. What is that building in the center of the farm? I've earned this. John grabbed his ID and stared up at the soldier. I work for the company and I wanted to see the wind farm. The soldier shook his head before replying. You are the only person I have ever seen trying to do a tour, sir. This is not a park. This is a government facility, and it would be a security risk for you to take a tour. It is my job to protect the people, and in this case, it means protecting the electricity they enjoy. But, no, John, go home, the soldier responded. Please, can you at least answer one question for me, John blurted out. The soldier looked annoyed and replied, What? John pointed through his windshield to a small one-story building in the middle of the wind farm and asked, What is that building? Goodbye, sir, the soldier responded as he turned and walked away. John screamed out the window, No other wind farm has a building like that on it. The soldier turned before entering the guard shack, thumbed back towards the road John came in on, and replied, Fuck off, sir. He then rested his hand on the pistol on his side. John put his car in reverse and backed out of the driveway and drove away. John drove down the road till he was out of sight of the guard shack and found a small road leading around the perimeter of the fence surrounding the wind farm. He was looking for a back gate, but after 10 minutes of driving, he could not see one. He stopped his car and got out. He approached the fence and stared through at the building in the center of the huge wind farm. He stared intently, looking for any movement. He listened intently, hoping to hear something that would give him a clue to solve the mystery of the building. It just didn't belong on the wind farm. He thought maybe it was an office, but he could see clearly there was no windows, just one door, just a big, square, boring-looking building. He suddenly heard a noise growing louder. It was a hum. Electronic, possibly a fan. It grew louder. He recognized the sound. He was sure he had heard it before. But what was it? It was coming from above. John snapped his head skywards. There it was. The drone filmed him from above. Oh shit, John whispered to himself. He turned quickly, heading to his car. As he reached the door handle, "John!" a voice shouted. John turned to the sound of the voice. He could see a gray-haired man in a nice suit. The man smiled. Then John heard a rustle behind him. He shifted to turn, but was struck hard in the face. Stars exploded in his eyes. He fell hard to the ground, and the wind escaped his lungs when he hit the ground. John stared up at his attacker, a black man wearing a nice suit matching the gray-haired man's suit. John tried to stand, but was met with a foot from the well-dressed black man. The man stomped John to the ground and held him there as the gray-haired man approached. The gray-haired man spoke. "Mr. McDonald, my name is Brzezinski. I'm here to help," he said as he knelt and held up an ID badge that read HELP. The Homeland Environmental and Labor Proctor, the federal police force that formed after the government started tracking every citizen's carbon footprint and social score. They were the new terrorist watchdogs and was tasked with protecting the citizens of America. The black man took his foot off John. "This is my partner, Jones," Brzezinski declared. John sat up and asked, "Why are you here?" "This is a federal facility, Mr. McDonald. Even if you work for the government, it does not give you the right to break into this facility," Brzezinski explained. John violently shook his head no and exclaimed, "But I didn't." "Let me stop you right there, Mr. McDonald," Brzezinski said before holding up his hand. "I know you didn't technically break into this facility. Hell, you are still on this side of the fence, right?" John nodded his head frantically at Brzezinski as he continued. "Like I said, I'm here to help. I'm helping you by making sure you don't do something stupid and ruin your life. I want you to get back in your car and drive back home. You will forget about this, and you will continue your job with no questions. If you do not, I promise your life will be ruined. Now, pretty please, with sugar on top, get in your fucking car." John sat slumped in the corner of his bedroom. Beth sat on the bed and spoke. "They sent a video of you to me. It was taken from the drone outside the wind farm. They say if you say anything to anybody, they will label you a terrorist, and your credit and social score will be 0. No credits, no food, no home, no life any longer. They will do it, John. I've seen it." John did not speak. His face asked the question. Beth responded. "My family, John. They did this to my family." John responded, "You grew up on a farm. Why would the government care about the middle of nowhere?" Beth was mildly insulted by the question, but she replied, "First, John, fuck you. I am not some country bumpkin. Second, farms are owned by the state. The government practically lives in your house. They can take away your credits with ease." John shook his head. "I'm sorry, Beth. I will fix this." Tears streamed from Beth's eyes. "John, there is no fixing this. They can choose to destroy your life whenever they feel like. I'm sorry for suggesting you find an answer. I'm sorry this happened, but most of all, I'm sorry I have to leave." John spoke through his tears. "Beth, you are my future. Every part of me knows that. I don't have to keep the job at the power company. I can get a different job and just keep a low profile." Beth stood up from the bed. "I'm sorry, John. You and me both know there is no low profile. I can't live like this anymore. I will escape these bastards." Beth walked out of the room while John continued to cry in the corner. Early the next morning, John went to Beth's house, hoping she would be more open to talking things out. He knocked on her apartment door, no answer. He listened for any noise coming from inside. No sound. He knocked louder. No answer. "Beth," he said through the door. No answer. He left her apartment building and as he was opening his car door, he spotted them. They were parked across the street, standing next to their black sedan. Brzezinski and Jones stared at John from across the street. They nodded a hello to him as he slowly got into his car. John started his car and left in a hurry. John headed for Beth's mom's house. Beth's parents had divorced when Beth was young. Beth's father moved away. And Beth continued living with her mom. He knocked on the door, and Beth's mom answered. "Hi, John. What can I do for you?" Beth's mom asked. "Hello, Mrs. Vicente. Is Beth home?" John asked in a worried tone. Miss Vicente looked concerned for a moment and then slightly relieved as she responded. "Today is a school day, John. She's probably at school." John felt dumb for not thinking of that before. He ran to his car. As he opened the door, he heard a familiar humming noise. Looking up, he saw a drone hovering above. It looked like the same one he saw at the wind farm, but he wasn't sure if all drones looked the same. He got into his car and raced to school. He sprinted across campus to the science building. He was heading down the hallway when he was stopped by Professor Williams. "Stop, John, hold on," the professor said as he held up his hands in front of John. "Hi, Professor," John said as he stopped. "John, you can't be on campus." John stared at the professor, confused, and responded, "What do you mean? I go to school here. I'm in your class. I work at the energy department." "No, John. You used to work for the Department of Energy. They fired you because of criminal trespass. They are calling you a terrorist. You should have been told all this today." "You should have been told all this today at work," Professor Williams responded. "I didn't go to work today," John announced. "John, you just pissed your life away," Professor Williams replied. "Have you seen Beth?" John asked. "John, I don't think you are listening. I need you to get the hell out of this school right now." John pushed his way past the professor and ran to the classroom. He burst into the classroom door, screaming, "Beth!" The students in the classroom all recoiled in fear as John crashed in. "Has anyone seen Beth?" John shouted. Nobody in the room responded to him. As he moved closer to them, all his friends flinched backwards. One of the girls in the front row burst into tears. John backed out of the class and found Professor Williams again. Looking past the professor, he saw the two familiar figures enter the hallway, Brzezinski and Jones. Brzezinski and Jones walked casually down the hall towards John. John sprinted the opposite direction out of the building. He ran to his car and sped away. John screeched to a stop outside of his apartment building. He dragged himself out of the car and shuffled to his door, completely defeated. The final punch in the gut was pinned to his door, a pink piece of paper declaring that John needed to remove himself and his belongings from the apartment in 5 days. His social and environmental credit score was no longer sufficient to remain at this apartment. John yanked the notice off the door and entered the apartment in tears. 2 days, John lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. He mostly thought of Beth, but his thoughts would inevitably shift to one word: why? Why are they doing this? What is so important that they are willing to beat me? Why are they willing to destroy my life? What are they protecting? What is in that building? Why doesn't the power output fluctuate? Beth left because they are in your life, and she fears them. How do I get them out of my life? Are all these questions impossible to answer? I can get them out of my life. Where did Beth go? No one has seen her in days. I can't get Beth back. But I might be able to get the answer to what they are hiding.
Little Rainy?
John spent the next 2 days walking out of the city. He knew his car would be tracked. He left his cell phone at home for the same reason. He slept among the homeless population under overpasses, and once out of the city, he slept under the stars on the cold, hard ground. He finally made it. The fence was in view. He waited until nightfall to make his move. He could not hear any drones as he cut a hole in the fence. He sprinted as quietly as he could towards the building in the center of the farm. Surprisingly, the door was unlocked. He found himself in an empty room. In front of him was a set of elevator doors. A bell pinged. An elevator door slid open. Brzezinski was standing in the elevator. I'm disappointed, John, Brzezinski exclaimed. John hesitated, not sure what to do. Then Brzezinski asked, "Are you getting in?" John walked into the elevator and the door shut. The elevator dropped for what seemed like a minute and finally came to a stop. The door slid open. Brzezinski gave John an after you gesture. John stepped out of the elevator and stared down a long hallway leading to the right. He looked at Brzezinski and asked, "What is down here?" Brzezinski motioned for him to continue walking. The hallway ended with a set of double doors. John opened the door. The room on the other side was enormous, a giant underground cavern in the center of the cavern, a huge building with 3 smokestacks going up into the ceiling of the cavern.
Another huge building.
Enormous. It's a power plant, isn't it? John asked. Brzezinski began. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's coal-fired and has produced a lot more energy than the wind turbines on the surface. But why? John began to ask. He was cut short by Brzezinski as he continued speaking. The city needs power. Are you old enough to remember the rolling blackouts? Are you old enough to remember the riots and crime? And are you old enough to remember the riots and crime the lack of electricity caused? Hell, our economy is all digital. How do you buy food with no credit?
With no electricity.
Right. But the people would understand, John began to say. Ha! You honestly believe that? The people were made a promise. Green energy was that promise. No more fossil fuels. People found out we were still using them, they would lose faith in the government. They'd lose faith in the system, and the system could fall apart. But the size of the wind farm and the sheer number of them, isn't that enough? John asked. Brzezinski shook his head and answered, Now that you have seen this plant, I think you have answered that question. This plant provides us with the power we need. John continued to shake his head in disbelief. People have a right to know, John declared. Brzezinski nodded his head. They might indeed, but it is my job to protect the citizens of this country, even from themselves, Brzezinski replied as he reached into his sports coat. John lunged, shoving Brzezinski hard in the chest, and turned to run for the door. He felt an arm slam into his throat, and his feet shot out from under him. He slammed to the floor, and once again he stared up at Brzezinski's partner, Jones. Sorry, Mr. McDonald, but it has to be this way, Brzezinski explained, as he pulled as he pulled the pistol from his shoulder holster. "You won't get away with this. My family will come looking for me," John screamed. As Brzezinski pointed his gun down at him, "That's what I like about you most, John," Brzezinski said as he racked the hammer on his CZ 9mm. "It's your sense of humor." Bang. The end. Okay. I likes it. I think it turned out pretty good.
I'm half and
it
half.
looks really good with the pictures too. So who are you drawing? Oh, is that John?
Well, they're just different ideas. I don't know. I'm just, spitballing
Right.
different ideas for him.
What's the half and half?
Yeah. Just. Yeah.
Wow, that's as clear as mud.
I know. I don't know how to be. I don't know how to. It's just. It's just same stuff that we've talked about before in other podcasts about some of that storytelling. But other than that, though, I mean, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just. I don't know. Some of it just ramps up to 100 so quickly that I don't understand.
Well,
But it's just that's just me.
time has passed in that.
Well, and then the like we were talking about before about creating this. What is Liberty's like character? The town.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't know. We were just talking beforehand about things and how you were talking about how you're being conflicted about how to write the number 3 story because you don't know.
No real life examples to draw from.
Well, not only that, but you're like, well, are they going to talk this way? Are they going to mention things like this? And
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like, would he even call his boss sir? You know what I mean? Or would it be some leader specific thing? You know what I mean? Just because of the society. Would the soldier at the thing, would he just be a plebe soldier? You know, somebody, I mean, he's out there, stuck there. It's his job. He goes every day. Nobody ever comes out there. Or is he a hardened, knows what's going on dude to deter you from going in? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just things like that. It's like, because to me that would then change how they spoke a little bit, just because like I said, just things we've talked about before in other podcasts. It's just sometimes some of the characters all kind of flow together a lot to me. And but is there any of these? I kind of like this one. I don't know if I like the hair.
Which one?
This one up here. The one I got the wrong color.
With the flock
This
of,
guy?
flock of seagulls hair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you been watching Squid Game?
I watched about 3 or 4 episodes of it. I still haven't got any further. But I heard it gets really good. But I can't remember who it was that got me into it.
I mean, it's.
But my daughter.
From the beginning, it's already just ratchet up to.
Well, my daughter got me kind of hooked on another show I've been watching. Have you watched Shameless?
Yeah, I watched the first half a season, and then I just got tired of just shitty people being shitty. So I just,
Right.
it was a while ago when I just kind of gave up on those type of characters. I gave up like on The Sopranos.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the premise of that.
Right.
Him going to the shrink and the beginning of that, and then it just turned into them just being shitty people. It's just like, well, I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Who goes to a shrink?
Oh, Tony Soprano.
Oh, you're
at the very beginning. That's what I meant.
Okay.
At with the Sopranos, you know what I mean?
Right.
And just other shows like. Then there's shows that I haven't even, like Ozark, and
I watched Ozark.
I just bypassed
4 episodes into it.
Did you try that Oats Studio?
Oats Studio.
I sent you a text saying try Oats Studio. It's a bunch of small little vignette stories, sci-fi stories. I think you'll really like it. It's pretty cool. Some are animated, some are live action. Like the very first one, Sigourney Weaver.
Nice.
Doing it. It's total sci-fi. I think it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It was watching that one that then said, all right, let me give Squid Game a try.
Right.
And, and then I went on to I watched the first 4 episodes of that, and then I went back and was like, watched it with the wife and finished it with her. Yeah, that's a good one. That's one of those, it's kind of fun to watch people's reactions to, because I don't know if they're quite expecting what's going to happen.
Right.
And then to watch them react to it, because that opening episode's like, wow!
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good.
So you sent me that as a
I thought
text?
I sent a text. I thought I said,
because I sent you that link to that one YouTube, but I don't see anything as a text. Maybe it was an email.
oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I put it in email. I can't remember.
What's it called?
Oats Studio, like oats, like
OAT.
in what you eat, oats.
Right.
Where's my freaking phone? Did I put it back here? Oh, there it is. It is crazy. Oh, that was you.
They're on Netflix.
Oh, I sent it to you Sunday.
As a text?
Yeah.
I didn't receive it.
It was after we were talking about the invitation code.
Oh. Jeez.
And then you finally got it to work.
Right.
But up there early on is you should check out Oats Studio on Netflix. Then I sent the invite again. But it yeah. It's a crazy one. Ooh, it's coming down.
Yep. Raining like crazy.
I think I like that one the best. I don't know if I'm married to the hair. Although what do you think of changing this guy's hair here? This one. This one.
What do you mean changing it?
Oh, I had it out like this. I had it out like that. But I think I like the cropped better.
Yep.
I was trying to channel Tim Pool a little bit on it.
Right.
But yeah, is that better on this guy here?
Yep.
I like that too. Definitely like these two.
Mm-hmm.
Still work on it some more. I really dig this guy actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's kind of cool. Yeah, I think you'll dig those. They're that Oat Studio for anybody out there, and Squid Game is ultra violent, gory. So,
Right.
So be aware.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a guy do a review, not so much a review, but like a reaction to Squid Game. So I wanted to see what that first game's reaction was, you know, and but he watched it dubbed instead of not dubbed, subbed. He watched it with subtitles.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, they have it dubbed.
Hmm.
As I was watching, I was reading the subs.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dub's better.
Hmm.
It was interesting because I
like seeing the because it's just like when it's funny because so many other countries are doing much better movie making and story making than America is, because America is just pretty much remaking old stuff that they had made in the past. But then there's countries that will make good content, like Japan at one point was making some great horror movies that they all remade here, like The Ring and all that kind of stuff. And then Korea started making some amazing dramas, and one of my favorites was Old Boy.
Old Boy.
And they remade that here, and I don't know why they remade it, because that original, oh my God, it was so good. And the actor in Old Boy, I just don't know if I could have somebody dub over him, because even though I don't understand what he's saying in Korean, he says it so well.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing what I found when I was reading it is it's not a 1-to-1 translation.
Right.
Like, well, I don't understand how the subs are different from the dub.
Right.
Why wouldn't you just type out what's in the dub?
All right.
Unless they did the subs first and then did the dub afterwards.
That's what they usually do, because my son watches Naruto all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I'll have the subs on, even though he's watching the dub version.
Right.
And the subs don't match the dubs at all.
No, in fact, tell him to go out and find some like anime freaks. I can't remember who did the dubs that I used to read, or the subs, and they were so much better than the dub. Mm-hmm. They were adult. They were it was 10 times better. But what was fascinating, so there's a little scene, just a little, not spoiler, but a little scene at the beginning where the main character guy, he's in this little house with his mom, and he's eating breakfast, and she stops and gives him some money and says, "Don't forget your daughter's birthday.
Right.
Here's some money." And in the subs, it's like, "I didn't forget." It's like, "What's this?" Oh, I didn't forget, and blah, 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 But in the dubs, he's like, "What's this? My allowance?" He's like, "Oh, it should be more." And she said, "No, it's for the birth." Oh, yeah, I knew that. But it's that added an extra little
right
ass to his character that I don't know, for some reason it just
right.
I got him right there, right off the bat. I knew exactly who this guy was, what he was gonna be like, So I thought the dubs were slightly better.
Yeah.
Plus, I didn't want to miss anything.
Right.
And so it was nice just to be able to watch it
Right.
and not have to worry about missing. I was willing to go with some of the clunky acting a little bit sometimes. The voice, because
Voice actors. But yeah.
they have these, whatever they use, this anime did it to the same thing. They always got these clunky American actors to do these voices.
Yeah.
I mean, once I realized that anime also was written kind of like, it's not Shakespeare, but it's supposed to be, how he wrote almost a poem type of thing. So you would say his lines almost like poetry. It's supposed to be read in a certain tempo and certain. So anime is supposed to be the same thing. That's why sometimes when you hear it sounds so weird and like it's very fast. It's very and then where they emphasize stuff, it's all because of things like that. It's not until you get into some things like Jinro, where they kind of threw some of that out and just let the English just be English, and that's a really good one. But you can really see that. Go watch Princess Mononoke and watch the dub of that.
I like it.
And you have people like Billy Bob Thornton,
Right.
Minnie Driver, and you're like, wait, how come they're doing the weird anime voices? Like the weird, like there's, then you really will get the idea of what they mean by that, how they phrase things.
Right. Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob. He has that show on Amazon Prime. If you watch Goliath, that's a good one. The first 2 seasons, really good. The third one, I never even finished it. But the first 2, he plays a lawyer, and it's that. And if you watched Bosch, if you watched any Bosch on Amazon too, so Bosch is a very good detective show, and both of them are very, I would say, probably more true life of how things act, especially the speed of things as things get done. Weeks go by when they're working on a case. Months go by in Goliath, and just because that's how law works, right? It's slow. It's not like on regular TV when bam, bam, bam. Oh, we solved it. You're free. But
that was another thing that I think is kind of fun with these Town Called Liberty stories is I can actually insert these stories into a timeline where all these things are kind of happening maybe at the same time, maybe at different times, but like these characters keep popping up in the other stories, and I it's great. It also allows me to, if I want to, because I've been kind of attacking each subject in the order that I wrote them, but I can really, if I wanted to, write like the 15th idea, first or second or third or whatever. So there's no real, even though I've been calling this book 1, it could be book whatever, because I'm trying to write each story as a standalone story, where there's no like references back to, where people have to remember, oh, this character or oh, that character. Each time Brzezinski shows up, he's reintroduced, type of thing. So, 4.
Yeah. So, let me know in the comments which one you like best. I think we kind of set. I think I like 4 the best. That I've been wanting to do it more of a graphically stylized like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hopefully I can repeat it
Right.
as well. But once you have the general shape down, hopefully I can.
Right. The only thing I wonder is, you said that computer program doesn't exist anymore. The one that had the city layout.
Yeah. Well, no, it
Is there-
does. It's just you have to pay for it.
What's the cost? Is it like a monthly type thing, or
I can't remember.
because that would help a lot. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's
Google SketchUp
we have
is what
a
I originally used.
it was a computer program that we actually was
They
able
got bought out by
to lay out a city, and that you can basically put yourself in the city that you designed, wherever you
I think
wanted.
it's just SketchUp now. Professional, personal. See, that's the problem, It's like, well, what's professional?
Right.
$2.99 a year, most popular. Robust, modeler. Shop. I'd have to understand what the prices mean. Ultimate class.
Right.
But
So it is a monthly fee, though.
yeah. So what's personal? SketchUp free. Yes, I mean I can. Web only. Oh, can I still use it on the web?
Cool.
Maybe I'll have to sign up with a new. I have a. Let me see if it'll let me sign in. Oh gosh. Nope. That was not it. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, you probably have to create a new account.
Yasers. I wonder if I've been locked out. Is that what that? You have been temporarily locked out, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so because I know I have models saved, but so that's good that because I've been using this other program called I don't know. This one, Pecan Planer STD standard, but it's hard. It's not as easily able to move through things
Right.
as the other one is.
Yeah.
And what's kind of cool is I want to be able to. I think I want to eventually with the model is make it 5 times bigger,
Yeah.
5 or 6. I think Liberty should be maybe like the size of LA.
Yeah, it's got to be big, but not ginormous. I mean,
It's got to be big. I
Yeah.
think it needs to be giant.
but I
'Cause
mean,
then it could really.
because lots of skyscrapers, lots of apartment building type things,
Right.
that type of, yeah. I mean,
Well, and like what we were talking about, because we were talking about what the
So it's like really densely packed.
because in the story he says it's all about the coal plant type thing, and that renewables aren't
Good
but
enough.
but renewables for a personal home, probably for the amount of stuff that you could do during the day, and then if the power runs out, then okay, so I don't get to surf the internet any longer,
Right.
But that's the trade-off you do. That's that was what you're talking about, the rolling blackout trade-offs.
Well, what's funny
stuff.
is,
But what I was gonna say is I thought it'd be great to have all these like high-end energy clubs, high-end like fitness clubs, sports clubs, and then just clubs, like lasers and music, and people are going and doing these things constantly, and that's the environment. That's the hedonistic
right,
thing of it all. That stuff draws so much power
right,
that they couldn't be able to power that off of.
mm-hmm.
And so, in order to power the pleasure center to keep everybody in the society, that's where the
right,
power. That's where the coal plant comes from. That's where
right,
That's where the extra power has to be needed, is to actually keep the society
mm-hmm.
docile or
right.
doped up in a sense.
Well, yeah, everybody has to post on their social media sites.
Yeah, well, not so much that, but I mean,
show what a great life they have.
I mean, electricity, especially power hungry stuff. Streaming 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly watching shows. They're constantly out doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's holographic. Everything,
Right.
To me, it's all about that stuff, because
Mm-hmm. Yep.
everybody has to have. I mean, they will give up a lot of stuff, but they're not going to give up Netflix, which is kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people have to. People need their entertainment.
I want to kind of talk a little bit. You sent me that link to that Preppers thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he said anything that made me think of like.
Yeah, if you guys are wondering, I sent him a thing there's a YouTube guy called City Prepper, I believe that's his name, and he was he had a recent post that he made that was about, let's see here, I'm just trying to get to the labor shortage crisis and what's causing it, what's causing the dilemma. Because we had talked about the labor shortage, because I actually work in the hospitality industry, and it's just so hard to find employees, and everybody's searching for a reason why. And I think he hits on quite a few different things, and they add up, and that's what's kind of cool.
I guess I didn't think. I don't know. I didn't know if anything was too revolutionary.
No,
what he was saying.
But the way he put them all together, they do tend to stack up. And what's scary is, when you go to grocery stores or even convenience stores, and the shelves are empty of stuff, it's pretty frightening.
Right.
And then the gas right now, My car used to take $30 to fill the dang thing up. Now it takes $50 to $60 depending on the price of the day. It's crazy. So yeah.
But that was the stuff.
I think at some point we're going to have to bring back the misery index.
The misery index?
Do you remember what that was?
Uh-uh.
Back when Carter was in office, they actually had a thing they called the misery index that they'd put on the news every day. And it was a listing of all the job losses. And at the same time, besides the unemployment losses, it also tracked inflation and all that kind of stuff. So it just showed what they called the misery index, how shitty life was at that moment. And I think they might want to bring that back. Because
Well, I doubt they actually want to bring it back.
no, politicians, I'm sure, don't. But yeah.
Are you kidding? YouTubers are trying to bring that stuff up all the time, but YouTube won't let them.
Right. Yeah.
That's like that Matrix that Tim keeps bringing up on his show. The one where that poll that most Democrats believe the economy's doing well.
Right.
Most Republicans believe it's not doing so hot.
Right.
No, I guess what I wanted to talk about though is I love these guys, they always talk about prepping, and I mean that show Squid Game's a great example of, I think, of, and The Walking Dead's a great example of what society breaks down to. I think when in the climate that he thinks it's going to happen to.
Right.
Right. So he's talking about prepping, having being self-reliant, having your, and then, but then you got to keep it, or I mean, I don't understand. I'll never say you shouldn't try.
Right.
I just sometimes they just think, oh, well, I'll just build a farm over here and nobody's going to come take the food from me.
Right. No.
The LDS Church always suggests everybody has a 1-year supply of food, of dry food that you can have for emergencies.
Well, the thing is if we are looking at, if right now is the history of a town called Liberty, basically what's the building blocks that we're on, I'm of the opinion that in the near future, the government and corporations are basically working together to create this, oligarchy type of thing where, corporations run the world. The CEOs have as much power as the president,
They have more.
Right. And so,
they canceled our last one.
They were, what do you mean?
They took them off the air.
Those ones about the movie?
Twitter canceled them. Twitter took them right off their platform. YouTube took them off their platform.
Which ones?
Facebook.
The movie ones that we did? Or the movie?
The President of the United States was taken right off those platforms. They already have more power than the sitting president.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think in the future, especially if we start using these social, credit scores and, environmental impact scores, that, all the stuff that's in a town called Liberty, that's going to come true.
Mm.
And if we don't do anything, to stop that progression towards it, because you ask all the time, are the people in the city all bought into it, or are they just compliant because people are normally compliant?
I'm not normally compliant. I just is whether or not.
I think that people are always going to try and rebel against the system, but that system, if it gets locked in, to where there's no physical money, there's everything's on credit. There's no way to remove yourself from the system and live off the grid like these preppers want. Because right now, all of the richest people on the planet are buying up farmland right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the opinion, and like I said, I wrote it in the book that way, or in the stories that way, is at some point all farmland is going to be government owned.
Yeah, they're just going to turn. Well, it's like
all farming and ranching.
It already is. It's like, do you watch that Mountain Man on TLC or whatever it was? I don't know. There's a show called Mountain Man, which is just about,
it was a survival show,
yeah.
right?
Well, no, not survival. It's about homesteading.
Right.
It's about these different guys. There's this guy in Tennessee named Eustace who's homesteading on his property. And what's he get in the mail? Property taxes. For the sum total of some ridiculous amount of money.
Whoops, sorry.
And supposedly the land that he owns is under attack. Right? He's homesteading, it's his. He's doing all the stuff, but then all of a sudden he gets this thing saying, no, you own property tax on it. It's like it's already there. That's what I mean.
Right.
It's like they think they're off the grid. There's no
off the grid.
The only off the grid that you might be able to do right now is go out in the middle of Alaska, go out in the middle of Siberia. You know what I mean? Some of these, there are places you can go off until they find you.
Right.
But
right.
And we've had this conversation too about the amicable divorce, the split up. We're in a state right now that would be pro-conservative, yet we're in a location that makes a split into the wrong side.
Right.
You know what I mean? Makes me wonder, is it something that we need to start looking out differently for? But it's like, it's crazy because as conservative as Idaho and Utah are, you could see doing a north-south split. It's almost what you'd have to do is north-south, and the north gets California.
Right.
And Nevada, you know what I mean? And you'd have like Arizona, New Mexico, up across the Panhandle, and the old South just the way it was, and that'd be one cut, and the other would be all the north.
But I've already expressed my view. I don't think that divorce thing will ever happen, because the people that have the power right now, especially if it is like I'm saying, where it's corporations are controlling everything, they're not going to give up.
Well, it all depends on whether or not there's enough people to be able to start their own competing companies. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, you can't live without our bank. Oh, I have enough money to start our own bank.
Right.
Not only do I have enough, but he has enough, and F you. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting. I do think there's a way for it to happen because it just because.
Because I'll tell you another one of my, I don't know if I'd call it a theory. It's communism and socialism only work when you have a large amount of people, and when socialism, or communism tries to take over a place, like say the Korean War, it's their goal to put the entire country under communist rule.
Right.
There's no amicable, oh, you guys can, have that half of the country and we'll just do our thing up here. No, that's not what they would.
Right, but
do.
that there's a difference there of them saying we're going to come down and we're going to come down and make you do this.
Right.
Than the other side saying, try it.
Right.
You know what I mean? The only way the North even had any power is because China gave it to them.
Right.
China supplied them with the stuff. Right now, you have almost a Mexican standoff.
Well, because
you know what I mean?
We're there.
Well, but if we allow ourselves to be de-armed, then they can just swoop down and do whatever they want. But until then, it's like it's
right.
It really will be a standoff. And tell you what, I remember, and Biden's like, well, we got nukes. Well, they would have nukes too, you know what I mean? But he says, well, we have the military. But there's a couple videos on YouTube. You got to go watch them. Watch this old Marine react to new Marines going through boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
And... I used to be very worried of the military. I'm not so worried about the military anymore.
Right. You mean if their guns were pointed at the civilians?
He was showing. I watched the thing where a guy did a side-by-side from boot camp like in the 80s or something like that to now. And they showed these guys, a whole company, moving. Airstrike happens, whatever. Everybody, they're going, and then there's a drop as hard as they can, as fast as they can to the ground. And then as soon as the boom, boom, boom stops, they're up, and they're charging again. Then they drop hard, boom. They showed these new recruits what they're doing. The boom, boom, boom starts happening, and they all gingerly get down on their knees, lean forward, get all the way down, and then it stops, and they get up, and they kind of brush their knee off, and then they start running again, and then they there's a I don't know, this is interesting,
right?
Although the other side though has a bunch of 400-pound guys strapped in the tactical vests. Have you ever seen those prepper dudes?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they're doing their drills, and they're like, and they try to kneel down behind a tree for. Oh, it's fun to watch that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It might be a whole different war. It might just be a war of comedy instead of war of tragedy like the Civil War was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if the government wanted to. I don't know if you would ever even see a soldier, because they could just drone strike the crap out of everybody. One drone could wipe out a city.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on how much they want to destroy.
Right.
And once again, I mean, if they'd have to hold all the drone facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then you're sending your drones back the other way. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yep. And it's computer combat in the sky. Yeah.
I don't know if it's as
But no, I mean,
quite as crazy.
the problem is you know, these preppers are always looking out for this, you know, takeover. Well, it's going to be so slow and so methodical that we're just going to wake up and we're going to be in a town called Liberty. You know?
Yeah, but at that point, at that point, you had already you'd have bought into you might not have bought into the system, but you definitely be playing the game.
Oh yeah, because
So-
there's only one way to live. You know?
Right. So John isn't gonna go push. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
That's why I was saying at the beginning, like when the first few drafts.
Mm-hmm.
Once they said stop, the authority told me to stop.
Right.
It's, you know, I've talked with people, you know, as long as you're doing the right thing, you don't have nothing to worry about, right?
Right.
That's the same philosophy. As long as you're doing the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
their thing, you have nothing to worry about. So
Right.
just go back. You know, 'cause that's why I was a little. I don't understand why he tells them your life's going to be ruined right off the bat. Because it's like it's easier for them to just say, look, as far as it goes right now, nothing's happened, John.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to school tomorrow.
Go back to work.
Go back to work tomorrow. Everything's just fine. Nothing's happened. You know what I mean? Now, the idea that he gets and goes sees Beth and says, and her saying, I got a video.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it'd be, I got a video on my phone of you doing this, and they're saying that you're a terrorist. I think it'd be better instead of they sent me one. It's like, who's they? She doesn't know who they are. Well, you know what I
She
mean?
does.
Well, I guess, but even though it's we haven't even established that
Right.
idea. I don't understand that either.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea though that it's be like, and then so as long as everything goes back to normal, that video never goes any farther than just being sent to Beth.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just for her to separate her family from him, and
Right.
boom, type of thing, and he can go back and do whatever he. But
Right.
so that's why, in that type of society, it's easier to just have people believe it's okay just to go back,
Mm-hmm.
and then instead of pushing buttons,
Mm-hmm.
and you're pushing their button to be like, no man, it's my right. You know what I mean? And because you watched Death of Stalin, right?
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
That was funny as hell.
So I don't know how that movie got made, right?
I just love how that in that movie, how they took such the darkest, most violent, horrible part of history, and made it funny.
And to me, do you think they understood what they were showing? Because to me, what they're showing is what society is going to be like.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they understood what they were showing, because the like, to me, the whole thing with John is like in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't step out of place, you know. When Stalin invites them to watch movies, they got to drink and watch movies and do all that stuff and make sure they don't say one wrong. They had to be drunk and at their wits. I don't know how those guys did it, you know. And then even when he wasn't technically pronounced dead, but they knew he was dead, they still had to feign like
Right.
support for him, you know, and all this stuff.
Right.
And so that's why I didn't see things ramping up so quickly with John, and I didn't see them so harsh on him right at the beginning, because it was just like, look, okay, it's all good, just everything can go back to normal, but as he keeps pushing and trying to find Beth, then then they start taking this away, take that away, take this away. But
right. Well, his biggest mistake was not going into work the next day. Yeah.
Well, but he doesn't. Yeah, but I mean, but they didn't tell him to go into work. You said that the teacher told him that he was fired.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, the teacher informed him he was fired, but he didn't go into work because he was busy searching for Beth.
Well, but I right, but to me it seemed like he was fired because of the incident at the thing.
Kind of.
Yeah. So.
But I mean,
I'd let him go to work, then maybe, or do whatever, go to the school.
Mm-hmm.
But little by little, because that movie was so fascinating. Because to me, I saw it in a different light. I saw it as that's the talk you have to use. You have to use the
well, yeah,
with the please and the thank yous, the yes and the ma'ams, all that stuff of, oh, I didn't see anybody over there, or I didn't do any of that, or heaven forbid you said something in your apartment just a little too loud. The neighbor heard it. Your apartment's just a little bit bigger than theirs. They're on a waiting list for a bigger place, and they just call up and say, hey, so-and-so says something about something, and then you're gone the next day.
Right. But what was funny is what was great about that movie, the Stalin thing, is all of those people in the story were the upper echelon. They were the rich. And it's the same in North Korea when you walk in and watch any of those documentaries. All those people that live in the city, those people are the elites. And, they have to talk that way to each other and about the great leader, to maintain their status. But
status, their livelihood, their life.
But what's funny is the further down on that status ladder that you go, when you start getting down into the poor parts of any city, including Russia or North Korea, which unfortunately most of the poor people there are in prison. That they speak about everything, including the shit life that they're in, to each other openly.
Probably, yeah.
Because it
can't get much worse
right.
than it already is. Right.
But yeah, but it is amazing what people in power, what rich people will do to maintain that.
To maintain it, and that movie was crazy too, because like they showed it was Khrushchev's apartment. Wasn't that Steve Buscemi? Wasn't he Khrushchev? They were showing his place, and his for being
right. It wasn't fantastic, but nothing in Russia was fantastic.
Right, nothing. But but it still was like any normal. It was a walk up. It was just a modest 2-bedroom apartment. The skinny ass walls, everything. It was my favorite part of that movie though is when they come to his sister. Don't worry, I'll make sure nothing happens to you. Why? What's gonna happen to me? Nothing. I promise. Nothing's gonna happen to you. What's gonna?
Yeah,
that cracked me up.
That whole movie, though, it was really well done.
Because although you know what though, maybe they did understand what they're making, because people like that, they like the talk, they like the show things. It's like after the election, that Time article that came out about the secret cabal of business people and wealthy politicians and all this stuff that moved the heaven and earth to fortify the election,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they had to brag about it, it's the dumb criminals that have to film themselves doing the crime.
Right. Yeah.
We're a little bit all over the place on this one.
No, I mean we're still talking about stories,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I guess.
Well, anyway,
Sorry, Rumble.
how much time have we gone through?
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's only an hour and a half.
Really? Well,
I know. Usually we go like 3 hours,
right.
2.5, 3 hours, and it's like an hour and a half, and we're kind of already
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was like usually we're.
Well, yeah. But yep.
That's why.
So, are you planning on redoing all of the pictures, or what's
I don't know.
What's the thought here?
I was just thinking of redoing.
Because I mean,
Some
I'm
of
guessing that is it kind of hard to go back and start up where you left off because of style, or
No, it's not so much that. It's just that some of that's just poorly drawn compared to what I think I can do now, and some of it's changed.
can you put the first story up
I mean,
on there so they can see the pictures and the words?
no. Actually, that is the pictures, but let's see, where do I?
There's the one that I just sent, or that I sent to you.
Is this the one I?
Hey, look,
No.
pretty.
Actually, I think I need to move. Oh wait, I think it's in here. That's where it's at.
So yeah, these are the pictures. This is John at the computer wind farm thing.
Yeah, I'm not like all of it has to change, but that we took out of the story.
Yeah, kind of.
But like this, I think I can redo that in that other style quickly enough that it will look better than that, and I don't even think that picture is going to be left in there. This one might be different. I mean,
Yep.
this one's in there, but I might have to move some stuff around because of now the tangents that I can see in it. Just it messes with your brain. Messes with mine.
And there's another one.
Yeah, that was one that was really bad that I had. But that's not... I don't think he's too far off of what I drew now, what I was just drawing. So...
Right.
I could probably keep most of that. And what I would probably need to do, though, is... Even though I used the... whatchamacallit, I think the perspective here... is a little bit too far. I think that the buildings are fine in the background, but this whole shape right here needs to be pulled back slightly, just perspective wise, and that'll because otherwise it's like the camera's like way over here instead of right there. No, it'll just rest easier. And I want to simplify some of these things too. A lot of these shapes. Let me pull up over here. You can't see it because I'm going to go to Instagram again. And, oh my gosh, that is so good.
Who's that?
Damn, I wish I could draw that good. I mean, I can when I'm drawing on a regular basis, but I still don't know if I draw that good. He is so good. Especially to watch him do it live on Twitch. It's just so freaking frustrating. His name is Ioni Art. But he is so freaking good. There's Mel.
Ionic.
Ionic? Is that what it is?
I believe so. Ionic Art.
Probably. And this Riccardo Federici. My goodness. His artwork is just... all this little hatching he does. And then they just go over it. But this right here is... come on. You're not... Why? Where's my... Why was it doing that? I don't understand why it was so big. So I was thinking of trying to do something like this. So that face that I drew would be very simple. And then look how the background characters are really simple, and I think I could actually color that, paint it like that very quickly. I can try. I'm gonna try.
Right.
And I think that would look really cool for a town called Liberty. I really dig it. And let's see, so you can see it better here. You can see it's a lot simpler than when it's that small. It looks a lot more detailed than it actually is. And there's just some stuff in here that, like, I don't even think that one's gonna get used. I don't know. We also, how many pages do you have right now?
I don't know. I mean, basically we're going to have to do pictures and then read it and lay it out so it's like a flip book type thing where it goes through all of the stuff that I'm reading with the pictures and see how well it flows.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be best to do it backwards.
Draw all the pictures?
No. Like go through and decide what are I would say what are the 10 key things that have to be seen. Write that down over the whole thing, and then go, what are the next 10? And then write those, and then what are the next 10? And then see if that, because that would then give us 30 images. And I think that would be a good size.
Because the thing is when you say things that have to be seen, I mean, to me, the pictures that are the pictures that are going on, it's more of a desire to see stuff. Like, I really would love to see a shot of Jones clotheslining John in that last scene.
No, that's great. So that's what I'm
why
talking about.
I don't know. And I'd also love to see a picture of that last scene where Brzezinski holds the gun, where the camera is looking straight up the barrel of that 9.
I hate that view.
I love that view.
It never works. It doesn't. You can never tell what you're looking at.
Right.
They don't do it in movies.
Well, they try.
They try, and it doesn't look.
Well, it's always blurry in the background.
Well, not only that, but when they try to do it, a gun is a lot smaller than you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it disappears in a hand. And when you do right down the barrel, it looks weak. It looks anemic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like a gun.
Right.
It doesn't look like the threat that you think it is. But when you
More
can
of a
see that
side,
thing,
right.
but when you can see that 3-corner canted
Mm-hmm.
down on
Right.
somebody, and there's something to that look. There's something to either outstretched or the down. That is imposing. So
Right.
I've seen it in so many times in comic books. You know what the one they love to want to do? The shotgun. Like a
Right.
double barrel shotgun side by side pointed straight at you, and all you see is these two little stupid little holes,
Mm-hmm.
black things, and it's like, what's that? Oh man, it's
Right.
I've noticed that in storytelling. It's like that is one of those. But so no, those are great though, right?
I'd
Seriously
also,
though,
I also thought of things like, I'd love to see a shot where you see the drone looking down on John and maybe the camera a little up and behind the drone, so you can kind of see the, just the outline of the drone, things like that. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, So, but see, that's what I'm talking about though.
Mhm.
Is read it through and write down those,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, well, we don't need
Right.
that. We don't need this, and then we can space the story
Mm-hmm.
upon that, and then we don't have to. We won't get so far. We won't be like, oh, it's going to be 160 pages,
Right.
and then it's so far down the road to getting done that it's going to take forever.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we can make these in 30 pages, I think,
Mm-hmm.
as a coffee table book,
Mm-hmm.
I think they will
Right.
it'll go. So
Because what I desire, I mean, not really necessarily seeing it in print in those little small books, but what I'd love is, looking at it strictly from YouTube point of view, is I would like these to be small, 15 to 20 minutes, well, maybe even up to a half an hour stories that people can listen to, just for fun.
right, well, and then so same type of thing is if it's 160 images to get that done,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to take forever to get
Right.
it done. Whereas, can we span the camera through the image
Mm-hmm.
and cut that in half, triple,
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, there's our 30, there's 40. I don't care what it is. It's just, but if we can plan that, then it'll go twice as fast. It'll go actually exponentially faster.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well,
and it keeps them as a serial. It keeps them as a standard. It's going to be 30 pages. It's going to be this, that. If it's printed, it's going to be that. And then, but if it's a show, then we know it's a 20-minute show.
Mm-hmm.
And they know exactly what.
Right.
Maybe this one's 17, maybe that one's 23, whatever, because it's extra. But
Yeah.
as long as it's right around that, what we're looking at, or if it's 15 minutes, or
Mm-hmm.
or even if we take and we do 5 minutes, no matter what, and it's 5 minutes, but it's a 3-part story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If
That-
it's longer. Yeah.
That or all of them. Just here's boom, boom, and then the conclusion. And then we put them out like that too. So then they're short, and then you can watch it as one,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'd be fun to link them together. And
Right.
but
Yeah. But that's what I'm.
'Cause
That's what my focus has been mostly. Is I just want to make because when we were talking before, you were we were talking about John's motivation and John's psychology basically of why he would do this. You know, if they're living in a society that's already been beaten down. That what you know, and basically you're kind of saying that things escalate too fast, but at the same time, the reason that I'm escalating things so quickly is because I want the stories not to be a novel. I want them to be short stories, you know, that we can tell and that will keep the audience entertained, and you know, that we can, you know,
it can go 0 to 100 from the time that he starts looking for Beth to the end. That can be fast, but there's the setup. Then you could have everything that's taken away from him, and then, yeah, I mean, so I think there's places to speed up and slow down where we need it, but to go from this to that so quickly, and then it's gonna go slow, and then boom. Whereas if it's you know, because at that point, that's the whole point of the story, right? The whole point is it's kind of like that. Because in church they did this thing once where they're like, for dating, you know,
because there's another.
This is holding hands, and this is sex over here, and he's like, okay, so I'm going to draw a line. Holding hands, here's kissy, here's petting, here's, you know, naked, here's sex, whatever. I'm going to draw a line, and you tell me when to stop when you think you can control yourself. Okay, ready, get set, go. So the idea is that it goes so fast that you can't.
Right.
You can't. So it's like our story is almost like that. It's like, oh well, but whatever, you know, then, oh, but I can do this. No, I can still speak out. I can speak out. Ah, boom, you're dead. You know, it's like, before you know it, it's.
Because there's another story that I want to write. Because one of the things that we never get into in these stories is the psychology behind Brzezinski. But I want to do because Brzezinski and Jones, their job, they think, or they're told, that they're in a war.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and their job is to eliminate threats.
Well,
so, yeah.
I would say that Jones, being the younger one, that's his ideology. I would say Brzezinski.
He's a thinker.
I would say his, to me, is just...
Right.
That's what I'm good at.
He's a sociopath, too, so...
This is what I'm good at. I don't really care who's in charge or what the world is like, as long as I get to do what I get to do. You know what I mean? So if I can go around, beat some people up, shoot some people, do whatever, I don't care if I have to live in a sparse apartment by myself, or if I don't get all this extra stuff, because I don't care about that in the first place.
Right.
What I care about is doing this, you know. So that's kind of. Whereas Jones, I would say Jones is he's bought in. He's a lockstep. He's the guy who really thinks he's, you know, when they mark him as a terrorist, John, you know, we have to take care of this now, you know, type thing.
Yeah, I mean, to use an old historical reference, he's more like the Wyatt Earp that will go buffalo somebody before they have a chance to, you know, say their piece.
Right.
I mean, you know, people look down on, you know, Wyatt Earp for, you know, and cops nowadays, you know, can't do that. But Wyatt Earp was, you know, he invented the term buffaloing, where he wouldn't tell you, you know, throw up your hands and, you know, turn over your weapons or anything like that. He would come up behind you and he'd smash you in the head, and you would wake up later.
Yeah, in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
In prison, handcuffed, etc. Yeah. So yeah, that was his way to do law.
Right. So, I think everything's there. It's just like, what are those key scenes? And as long as we can keep this stuff as a short,
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll play better. I think it'd be cool.
Well, one of the things that we can do when we get done here is I'd kind of like to go back into the recording there and see when I was reading it. You know, I did pause a few times in there when we made comments, but get an overall idea of how long that took me to read.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then the pausing wasn't very long.
right. So, and then we just have to.
But it would go faster as an act,
right.
acting it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason I want to keep it to so many images
Mm-hmm.
is because unless we have somebody else that's going to edit this and put it all together,
Mm-hmm.
if it's too many images, it's going to take forever to draw it and forever to edit it,
Right.
and it ain't ever going to get done.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
I'm willing.
I hate editing.
I've never done it, but I'm willing to do it. So,
Cool. Go for it.
Right.
It's, to me, it's
Mind-numbingly dull.
not only mind-numbing. What did I try doing the other day? And I was telling Laura, you know, this is the exact reason why I don't do some things, is because every time I try to do something that's so simple,
Mm-hmm.
it's always just a chore. I can't remember what it was. It was something very simple electronically, and like I keep telling people, the very first time on my tablet that I tried setting up OBS, you know, it was on my my Wacom Cintiq Companion, which only had 4 gigs of RAM, but it still ran Photoshop fine. You know, I could draw on it. I can still draw on it, lickety split fast, and all that stuff. But when I had to change, it's like, okay, I uploaded a template for OBS for our stream, the way it looks. And I said, okay, I added a picture. Now I wanted to change the size of it. I could click on the thing and it would highlight up, but it wouldn't allow me to change it. I was like, what? It's supposed to be click, drag, plug and play. What? I had to close it, open it back up, and then it would allow me to resize it. And so I was okay. Now the next one, let's do your thing. Okay, I had to close it. I had to open it back up. Every single time I made an edit, I had to shut the dumb. It took me 2 hours to set that damn thing up. When it was supposed to take, on this computer, I can do it. It runs just fine. But that one, I don't know why all of a sudden it was just like, oh, something so simple somehow turned out to be, a raising of my heart rate, my blood pressure by 3 points, 5 points.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
I don't have very many points to give away.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's going to, like I said, I mean, I'm doing all this, the reading of it, and I guess you could call it the acting of it. So yeah.
Well, I'd say
I might as well do the editing.
I would say if we get to that point where we can make it the way we want it, we should shop around and see if we can find ourselves some local actors who want to come and do it for free, and be a part of.
Well, I think I got like the president's cadence down and everything, because I think a lot of people would read it different than the way I read it.
I know somebody who could read it who'd sound just like who you think it's supposed to sound like. My nephew's best friend. Man, not only does he look like the guy, he sounds like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, it's amazing. But
yeah, I mean,
but even still, I mean, that's fine. It's just, but you know, we can go find somebody to be the girl. You know, find a this that. You know, just find
Right.
people and have them come in and read their line, and then you just have to.
right.
Then the editing, you put all the different audios in the film, and then you'd have to move the camera and show and
Mm-hmm.
and pop up the audio at the same time, and then do you do a subtitled version of it, and not just an audio version. So it's more like a motion comic. So you have you do both.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, truly, I would like it to be where a person could listen to the story, you know, just via podcast type thing, and you know, the story's good enough. But I would also love it to where it's a YouTube thing where they can watch it and experience, you know, a visual and an audio, you know, thing. You know, an overall experience. But
Well, the audio, it'd be fun to figure out how to do it right. But I mean, like the old school radio shows.
with the noise in the background, maybe when he gets clotheslined or when he gets hit the first time, you know, that, you know, to
We go get some lettuce and celery and
Right.
good to
exactly
take a boxing glove and hit a bag of flour.
right.
You know, that type of stuff. Yeah, it'd be fun to do that. And then, you know, and as you know, they're walking on the street and be able to zoom, you know, do some like hums of cars going by. You know, and just little stuff like that. You know, she buys the drink and have it out or something. You know, and do all the sound effects. But that would take like really setting up the thing and have to be able to have all that stuff in place and
Right.
and you kind of do it as it's happening, so you yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think, you know, like I said, the first step, see how long that reading took, and then what I'm going to have to do the recording, I'll have to record myself doing the story, and then record it several different times, so that way I can edit in case I, you know, messed up any of the words type of thing. So it's, you know, one smooth, long,
Yeah.
perfect shot.
That I was thinking about submitting it to that little redheaded girl for she'll do a 15-minute. This is an editor on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
She's currently booked, but you can submit things to her, and if she gets to it, she gets to it. But it's only a couple $100, which I was surprised about. But she'll do 10,000 words or less, and then give you back 15 minutes of her time, I guess, in an email of critique or whatever on it, or what you know. And I thought about shooting her that first one, put in her queue, and if she gets to it, she get, you know. But because like when you were reading, I just noticed a couple of things. You know, this is when you some of the stuff that's repeated a couple times. It was like, well, it's just some editing things, I think, that
Right.
unless we can find somebody around here to do. We'll have to see if we can find some. There's got to be somebody around here that's willing to, or that knows what they're talking about with that we can pay the same amount of money to, or whatever, to read it and help us out. Because when it comes down to making it into play for the radio, some things might have. I don't know if it has to change so much, but I mean, you read scripts, and a play reads a lot different than a movie, which reads a lot different than a TV show. You know what I mean? Some of it's basically the same, but there's definitely some difference that you have to right into it. I think maybe because one thing about a audio thing is you go back and listen to those things. There's not a lot of dead air.
Right.
Something's always happening. Something's always filling up. Whereas a TV or movie, you can have just the background music playing and something's happening. And
Right.
or with this, you actually have to fill that gap.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how. I wonder if there's any. I have to look up. I wonder if there's any books on that genre on.
Well, I don't know.
Because I've bought some
'Cause
stuff
I've
on
been
storytelling, but not.
I've been going through and trying to find every podcast I can that has that kind of a feel to it, and I found quite a few, but most of them are horror genre for some reason. But and usually the background is they'll have the sound effects and stuff, but they'll
organ music.
It'll be music of some kind.
Yeah.
Then there's this one guy, and he kind of sets the mood in a kind of a unique way. You can hear a fire crackling.
Oh, really?
In the background when he's reading or doing anything, and any dead space, you still hear that crackle.
That's interesting.
And that in itself can be kind of unnerving, so if you're trying to set that tone, it works, but I'm not trying to set that tone. I don't even know what the tone would be.
Right, I know. Twilight. I think of this like the Twilight Zone.
Right.
I mean, I can even do a Twilight Zone opening to a town called Liberty.
Right.
The daily, or that, or even like
because
the Naked City.
Right.
10 million people. The Joe Friday.
Friday one.
That whole thing. I mean, it's the same. I hear those type of narratives going in my head. A few years back when I was streaming, I was trying to find royalty free stuff to stream. And I found old radio shows.
Well,
and it was fun to listen to those.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I've told you when I told you before, I'd love to see this as a
not robots,
as a little half hour, anime.
Right.
That would be an ultimate goal, but I've actually thought about the starting music, one of the songs that I really think would be cool is Primus does this one song called Southbound Pachyderm, and the starting of that song is it's so cool as far as if you're running credits and stuff, voice actors and all this different stuff, that the opening shots of Liberty City, that would be really cool looking or cool sounding. I don't know if you've
heard of it.
You never heard that song? I wonder if we'd get in trouble if we played it.
We will.
Well, too bad, damn it. But
we want to keep it up.
Yeah.
I'll
play it for you.
Yeah, you can play it. I can. Yeah. But I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I really dug Tarantino's opening music to Hateful Eight.
Yeah,
I thought he nailed it on that one.
He's really good though.
And then what I really
music.
Did you watch the extended episode thing that he did on Netflix for the Hateful Eight?
Yeah,
I missed.
I saw that as soon as I possibly could. Yeah,
I liked it. I just missed that opening music because that just set me right in exactly. I knew exactly what I was watching, exactly what was happening. It's just like we're in the Old West, but
some of those opening shots, man.
Weird.
I mean, I know why he wanted to do the 70 millimeter or whatever the heck it was. Because, man, some of those opening shots, with that, if you see it on a screen like that, where, it's, the big, man, you it feels like you're outdoors.
Right.
It's so.
And then that music just, you're in the West,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not.
Right.
I don't know. It's just something weird. It's like you're in somewhere else. It was awesome.
Right.
I just love that twangy thing that he had going on with it.
But I mean, I can't think of a movie of his that he doesn't do well on choosing songs, because he chooses every one of those songs by himself.
Music
he's really
makes or breaks a movie.
He's really good at it. One of my favorites is I like all the music that he chose for Django.
For Django?
I mean, even when because he put a lot of hip hop and R&B stuff in there, and that you don't really, because there's so much action and stuff going on the screen, you just don't notice it at first, and then you're like, oh yeah, this music kicks ass.
Guess I didn't. I don't remember. Nothing's really stood out to me from.
Well, when he starts
from
that,
it.
when the German guy dies, he pulls the guns and he starts, that firefight. There's a lot of cool R&B music on there. But yeah, it's a good. He has some good lessons for music and movies, because there's so many people that try to copy his style. That one whistle thing from Kill Bill when she's walking through the hospital, that's been copied in 50 or more movies now. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Wow. The worst one is when you see people try to rip off Guy Ritchie, and how bad that works out, because it's like he just does it so well. His little montage edits when he switches a scene, wham, cheese, wham, wham, boom, boom. Now you're in somewhere else in the story.
Well, what's funny? This is the thing that's kind of funny to me, and I mean I love British movies. But it's funny, when you look at something like James Bond, choose whichever one you want, and they all have that British accent, and they're all suave and debonair and all that kind of stuff, and well spoken and proper. And when you watch something like that movie Attack the Block, or if you watch Guy Ritchie films, you suddenly realize how different British can sound from James Bond to that, thing where they drop all the T's off, and it sounds like a really horrible Utah accent where mountain and all this kind of stuff, and they it's just
going the Cockney.
Yeah, and
that's
but I love it. But one of my favorite lines in that movie Snatch.
Oh yeah.
Is the American guy comes out and he's no wait, was that Snatch or another movie that I'm thinking of?
The American guy?
No, that was yeah, it's the American guy, the guy that's he comes out to get the diamond and
the diamonds, yeah.
And anyway, he's Italian, but he's American mobster, and he comes out and he's like
Benicio del Toro character in that.
No, not.
Oh,
he's looking for del Toro's character.
He's looking for
the older guy.
Oh yeah, that's
and
Dennis Franz.
Yeah, Dennis Franz.
Dennis Franz. Oh my god.
And he's like,
that role is so good.
And he gets in there and he's like, you guys invented this fucking language, and I can't understand a thing you're saying.
Well, what's funny though is it's like, I think people always look at American accents like, how did these all come around, But then you look over there and you're like, wow, they have just as many.
Well, what's funny is I always thought it was kind of funny how everybody says you can tell where somebody's from in England, by their accent. And it's such a small damn country, and It is funny, you know. You can put it down to you were born in that house right there on that block.
Well, that's Dr. Doolittle, that movie, you know, the My Fair Lady, you know. That's what that's all about. When he can tell you what county and what town you were born in by your accent.
Because there was some clip I saw on YouTube or whatever about this guy from Britain, and he was commenting on all these things about Texas and America that he was just shocked by. He was saying that they were saying that if you're driving across Texas, it can take you I can't remember how many hours, but it takes 2 days, 3 days, and he's like, you can drive from one end of Britain up to the top and back in like 4 hours, 5 hours.
I think it's longer than that.
But yeah, and it's like crazy. But yeah.
I think we were down in Zion's National Monument, you know, down here in southern Utah. And there were some German people on the shuttle bus that takes you to go hike the Narrows, and they were just talking to each other like, this place is so big. You have no idea how big the country is west of the Rockies compared to like Europe, you know, and other places. It's just so freaking huge.
Well, it's also, I mean, if you look at America from, the 13 original colonies, and if you start heading west, all the colonies along the coastline of New York, etc., they're tiny states compared to when you get out west, California, Texas, they're ginormous states, but yeah. So, and I mean, way back when, they used to be just huge territories. Where Texas and Utah and Oklahoma and all that stuff was just this one big, huge conglomeration. So,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just... Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I don't know if we have anything else.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I want to look at that time to see how long that took.
Yeah, just, I think we covered everything. I mean, there's some stuff that's happened in the news that's worth covering, but maybe we'll do that in another one.
Okay. So, burnoutstudios.com, like, share.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
I think we're up to like, what, 60 subscribers? Or is it like is it like 40?
50.
50.
Tree. We'll always take some more.
Right.